All right. I am with another of the East Coast Throwdown 3 heroes, the legendary Seth Killian, Special Combat Advisor at Capcom. Did I get that right, Seth? Special Combat Advisor?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I had a couple questions I wanted to ask Seth. First off, shout outs to ShadowHackSword.net, VGM site. Go check it out. It's awesome. Anyway, let's get started, Seth. I've always wondered, I mean, this is about the third time I've met you, and it's like pretty much every Capcom fighting game that comes out nowadays, if it comes to the United States, you're the man to see about it, and you're the man to talk to. But I've always wondered, even though, you know, you're kind of like the head honcho with PR, where does like your sphere of influence end in like the actual game itself? Like,
it depends from game to game and from issue to issue. So some it's pretty light, like Arcade Edition, only little bits of things that we talked about here and there filtered through. Super a little bit more. Original 4, I work very closely. In part because Capcom USA actually owns the Street Fighter franchise, so we work very closely together. But once the system is established, a step further off. With Marvel, it's things like right from the beginning we sat down and had a meeting, making a list of like what are the things that aren't fun about Marvel 2, stuff like Runaway, things like that. How can we address that kind of stuff? And then during some early builds, like that didn't quite feel right, trying to put your finger on what exactly is not working, why this doesn't really feel like Marvel yet, and how we can get there to get that Marvel feeling, and all the people in the room that you saw
it was hype, man. It was hype.
And yelling Marvel. How do we get that feeling and that energy and that excitement back into this game when it wasn't there in the early builds? So they don't let us talk too much about the development process and things like that, but it varies a lot from game to game. Sometimes little balancing things, other times bigger systems or even ideas as far as like game systems and things like that.
Awesome. All right. Well, to speak of one of those games, Third Strike Online Edition. Now, when that was announced, and you know, particularly the features that you guys are adding to it, because I mean, Third Strike's a 10-some-year-old game, and we kind of already have it already. But what you added, GGPO support, the ability to upload the games to YouTube, I was wondering, is it possible that those type of features would be added to like later fighting games down the line? And if so, I mean, and even if not, or if that's like up in the air, is there anything that we as the fighting game community can do to help that be included? Sure,
it's certainly a possibility. Right now there's sort of different views on some of these things. So, you know, the U.S. office has tended to go in one direction, and the Japanese office has gone in a more Japan-focused direction. But I do think there's opportunity for sort of a happy meeting of the minds between the two to try and get some of the features I know people have been excited about in with some of the brand new games, like Marvel 3, and well, now we have Street Fighter Cross Tekken coming out, of course, so that would be the newest game. To try and get things happening there that people can get hands-on with, but basically, they've heard it all from me before, so if it's important to you, help me let the producers know. You know, Ono-san's on Twitter, Nitsuma-san will be at EVO along with Ono-san. Let them know directly, because they hear me on it, but they think I'm a little crazy, that some of these things matter as much as they do. So they're like, you know, we can talk about game systems and balance and what comes next and things like that, but when it comes to small features like that, they're not, you know, their view of it is not necessarily that it's of the same importance as everything else. So is it as important as having a game with interesting characters and great moves and things like that? Ultimately, probably not, but it's those little extra mile things that I think really makes me proud to work at Capcom, because we put that kind of craft and love into the game design. We try to. So I'd like to see it there in the systems and the menus and the features as well, to really try and make the complete package, but let them know.
So should we be trying to start petitions and stuff?
Petitions, I think, might be a little played out. I'm not really sure why.
They don't
we
work.
don't hate on petitions, but most of the things people are asking for we're aware of. I mean, that's why they're in Third Strike.
Right.
So, in particular, if there's a producer on a title that you're looking forward to that you want to see, try and tell them directly however you can, whether that be on Twitter, or maybe it's not a petition, but a message to Nitsuma-san or Ono-san or anybody else that might be working on one of our fighting titles.
Oh, right.
We are aware of what people want, and we're working to try and bring it to them. So it's just it's not a battle. It's just a matter of priorities. So obviously with Third Strike, we were able to, because the game is just a perfect arcade port, we didn't have to worry about the gameplay in the same way that some of the other teams have to build their game systems up from the ground. So that's a priority for them, and some of the other stuff comes later. So it's lower on the priority list, which honestly is as it should be, but there's no reason we can't have it all. So I'd love to see that as well.
Understandable. All right, moving on right along, Arcade Edition. Now, Arcade Edition came out, and you know, a lot of balance changes. You know, we got 4 new characters, which, you know, personally, I don't think is enough, but hey, that's just me talking. I wanted to actually get your personal perspective on this as far as balance is concerned. Like, do you agree with the philosophy that, you know, a better balanced game isn't necessarily make the game better, or do you want to have like higher tier characters and lower tier characters, or is like super more the way to go?
Ono-san is my boss, and one thing we learned in Japan is that you follow the boss into battle, and he's got his you know, he likes sort of the heroes and the villains, and you know, definitely the twins are sort of very strong, and the crowd loves cheering against them and watching them lose. And we were able to have a great finals here. Yun barely made an appearance at all, and when he did, he got blown up pretty bad. So
yeah, well, we don't have any Yun players here in North and East Coast.
It's not an East Coast issue yet, so maybe we'll see more Yun later on as the game progresses and you guys turn to the dark side. But right now, it's just a different way of looking at it. So I think even within the Street Fighter 4 universe, we've seen, you know, what Ono-san calls like the perfectly rounded sphere that was Super Street Fighter 4, and now a little spicier in the Arcade Edition era. So you know, we'll see how it goes, and it's a different approach and interesting. So I'm happy to try it, and obviously the game's been a success. So hopefully, you know, maybe we'll try something else the next time.
Yeah, awesome. Also, all right, now there's a few rumors that I've been hearing for both Arcade Edition and, well, that'll segue into, you know, what I had to ask about Marvel. Now, so I mean, you've kind of been hinting at the possibility of there being another, like, another version rather, of Street Fighter 4 after Arcade Edition coming out. I remember there being a post on SRK saying that, you know, you're saying that this is supposed to be the end of it. Like, it's Arcade Edition and that's it. But now it's a few months later and people, I guess, aren't happy with the twins or the balance or whatever, and you're thinking, well, maybe they might call us in to do it again. Like, what's the deal on that? Anything?
Well, I mean, it's not.
Say on that?
There's certainly not any result of people's reactions to Arcade Edition. It's been doing well right now in terms of sales, so it's not like, oh, the twins are a problem, therefore we need to go back to the drawing board or something like that. Ono-san's been talking about it a little bit on Twitter, dropping some possible hints, but right now there's definitely nothing hard in the plans. It's just something he's considering, and it's basically, you know, it was the end of the Street Fighter 4 era. That's what the decision was, but sometimes decisions come from up top. They say Street Fighter's still hot, people want more.
Right.
We're not going to say, well, look, we said this one thing on the internet.
Right.
So therefore, we can never possibly make another Street Fighter 4 game. If the people want it and the team has the time and availability to make more content, it's a possibility, but there's really nothing in the plan right now.
Well, just putting it out there right now, I would like Karen, Elena, and a more balanced game, please. Thank you very much. All right, Marvel.
No promises, no promises. We'll see if we even get a chance to go back in there and do it again.
All right.
It would be interesting.
All right, well, Marvel. I've been hearing all these crazy rumors with absolutely no, like, official Capcom say. I'm hearing Cable, I'm hearing Super MVC3 with a whole lot more characters, like I'm hearing no DLC at all. Like, what exactly is the status on Marvel 3, and can we look forward to this game changing at all, as it is?
You will get nothing out of me today, my friend.
All right.
What I can say is that we're very aware that people want more of the Marvel 3 content, and you know, Capcom is a business, and smart businesses find ways to get their consumers what they want. So, you know, we're thinking about that right now and trying to figure out what the plan for that should be.
All right, well, I'm waiting to hear more.
Hang in there with us.
Okay.
We're very aware. I know people want to know. I wish we could talk more about it, but hopefully we'll be able to do that.
All right, well, now here's the big one. Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Now, I've been playing the game. I'm kind of upset that it wasn't here the second day, but you know, things happen. I personally love it. There are a few things that I noticed about it. First thing I wanted to ask, the execution, well, kind of like the execution bar for this game seems kind of low, to be honest. I mean, of course they've had chain systems in other games, but it really does seem like I saw one guy playing there really just jamming on the buttons and doing like the whole combo and the tag and the, you know, more combos. And like, is that something that was like intentional or something that's still being worked out, or can we expect to see that in the final build?
Well, I mean, you know, Street Fighter has a lot of tradition behind it as far as the way the moves work and how they're supposed to be done, but at the same time, you know, it's a new era, and there's no value in having things that are necessarily, that are difficult for their own sake. I mean, what you want is things that are interesting, but you want anybody to be able to do the moves. The interesting parts of the game are not struggling to do, you know, I did the Shoryuken, and I canceled it on the first few frames, and then I dashed very quickly, and then I double pumped, and hit all 3 buttons, and finally I did Shoryu
FADC
Ultra. That's rough for a lot of players.
Really?
But should doing that be like a way of keeping a bunch of people out of there? Not necessarily. So there's always going to be plenty of rewards in Street Fighter for great execution, and that's still true in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. But the way we've approached it is to try and not place a lot of artificially high barriers on players. So you're talking single motion supers, just hit all 3 buttons. EX on 2 buttons traditionally, you know, Fireball still on 1 button, normal. And chain combos, you know, those are no stranger to Street Fighter or Marvel or Darkstalkers. Obviously present in a wide variety of games. So those are back. There will still be plenty of executionally challenging things to do. Based on some of the bump combos I've seen from the people playing here today, they have a long way to go in terms of execution already. So there are things to do, but it's definitely not one of those ones where we want to set the bar artificially high just so, you know, people can be like, oh, I did this super difficult thing.
Oh no, I just want to be rewarded for my execution.
Well, you will be, for sure.
Awesome. All right. Any idea on a ballpark figure how many characters we can expect at this point?
All I'm saying right now is a lot. I don't expect a lot of complaints. I mean, there's always the guy that wants 198 characters.
I just want 60.
Yeah, well, that's an aggressive number, but I don't think there's going to be too many people from Planet Sanity that are disappointed with the character count. Looking forward to
you know, DLC included and stuff.
A lot of Tekken fighters all meeting up together.
Yeah, that should be fun. All right, there have been a couple of characters hinted at in the trailer that you guys showed at E3. You know, people are pointing out Dhalsim's face and Steve Fox's face and a little flash frame of Lily and Asuka at the end, which was the obvious one. I know you can't confirm or deny anything at this point, but is there anything you can say about when we might expect to hear more about new characters?
I think we'll have some more to say in the near-term future. Think about like Comic-Con time frame. We always like to bring in a Comic-Con. We have a good time there. Love everybody able to come out to that show. And Evo is right after that as well. So Ono-san will be there, and I'm sure he doesn't want to disappoint the fans in attendance there.
Well, you're talking San Diego Comic-Con at this point, but will you be at New York Comic-Con in October?
I think we are planning to be at New York Comic-Con as well.
All right, awesome. I'll get a chance to see you again. All right, before I go, last question I wanted to ask you. I saw you first day playing Skullgirls and trying that game out. What do you think of the game, sir?
Mike Z is an old friend of mine. I've known that guy for a very, very long time. He's a true believer, very dedicated. He's been waiting to make this game for a long time, put a lot of care into it. So that was my first game of this build. It was the first time I'd ever played one of those characters. Not in a great position to judge, but it seems really fun so far. There's a lot of possibilities, so I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out as we hear more about it.
Awesome. So, and how are your feelings about how things went this East Coast Throwdown with like Street Fighter Cross Tekken? Like, what do you feel about the back?
It was thrilling. Well, I was happy to see everybody in there playing and having a good time on the Cross Tekken. And happy we could bring that out here to the East Coast fans. But for me, it's all about the tournament. So I enjoyed particularly the ECT3 finals. I thought were really great, and able to talk to some of the AE finals with people on the stream, and really enjoyed that as well. Some really great matches. Dominion played a great game. Wolf Crones is so strong, one of my very favorite players out there for a lot of reasons, but I saw a great character variety from El Fuerte to Ibuki to Zangief, all over the place in terms of the Final 8, so I really enjoyed it.
No Phoenix, no Yun, imagine that.
It was a little bit of Phoenix in the Final 8.
No, I mean in the Grand Finals.
Grand Finals,
no Phoenix,
very,
no
great
Yun.
match. Yeah. Love watching Chris G play. Shout out to Radharai as well. Great match.
All right, all right. Well, I thank you very much for, you know, giving me a few moments of your time, Seth.
My pleasure.
Hope to see you again, you know, one of these days, and you know, see you around in tournaments and stuff.
I love New York City. I'm out here whenever I can be, and if not before then, New York Comic Con. I'll see you there.
Oh, wait, one last thing. Any fight clubs for like Street Fighter Cross Tekken?
There will be fight clubs for Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Where and when, TBD.
Please show some love to the East Coast again this time.
You know the rules.
Yeah, I know. Nobody can't talk about Fight Club, but you know, please show some love to the East Coast again this time.
We love the East Coast. It's just far away.
Yeah.
We'll find a way to get back there for sure.
I hear you, man. Well, thanks a lot, Seth. I appreciate talking to you.
My pleasure.
It's been Nitro signing off.